Hi, church family. Surprise! So the pastor and first lady were invited to speak at another church, so you'll be hearing from the first daughter today. It's an interesting experience. But I've been thinking and praying all week about what to speak about today. I wanted to talk about something that I was really passionate about. I have all my notes and everything written down here, so that's why my laptop is here. So I'm going to be using that. So yeah, I wanted to talk about something I was really passionate about. I was praying and thinking about it, what God wanted me to share about, and so many different things are happening. There is so much to share about. Of course, it's a shame that there's so much stuff going on in this world right now that pastors have so much to pick and choose from. So a lot's going on in this time. People are seeing 2020 as a pretty bad year, and they're all saying it's like bad luck and things like that. So, you know, there's a lot of things going on, and it's sad. It really is sad. There's coronavirus. People are losing jobs, losing health, losing loved ones. Then there's racism, and people hate because they feel hated. They hurt because they themselves are hurt. And there's pride, thinking one group of people is better than another because they look a certain way. There's domestic violence rising. There are kids crying out in their homes because an angry parent can't control their emotions and have suddenly gone violent. There are divorces happening because what was there and what we thought was there really wasn't or isn't there anymore. There's pornography rising because people are bored and lonely and want to feel something and want to feel that someone else is there. And then, of course, there's loneliness, and this might be one of the biggest ones of them all. I was talking with one of my college professors a little while back, and she said she misses all her friends' hugs. She hasn't been hugged in months. She lives by herself with her cats. And I love cats, but nothing replaces the feeling of the warmth of another person's embrace. But there's something that every single one of these situations has in common, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. It's an issue that's kind of hasn't really been talked about, so what is that thing? Mental health. It's kind of a sensitive topic, but it's also a very underrated topic. People really don't talk about mental health, and it's weird because that's one of the most important things as human beings that we need to think about. So have you ever been at a really low, dark, gloomy point in your life, and something whispers in your ear telling you to pick up a Bible, and then you read it and there's that one verse standing out so bright, it's like it's already been highlighted before you even got a highlighter. And every word is a soft squeeze on your shoulder. It's like God telling you, I'm here. And that's how I found 2 Corinthians 12, 9 to 10. I'm going to read it for you. Here's what it says. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. I read every individual word in that sentence, and I just want to kind of pick it apart for a minute. One of them, weaknesses. Notice, it's not just one weakness, it's multiple weaknesses, because God knows that sometimes we can just have a lot more than one weakness at one time piling on us. Insults, that is way too common. It's something way too many of us can relate to, unfortunately. Bullying, all that kind of stuff. Paul, the writer of this book, he got beat down by people too. I can't even imagine what kind of crude words they used and said to him, because he was a Christian, and he was always getting in trouble with people, and so it must have been hard for him, and people must have taken that opportunity to really kick him while he was down. Hardships, plenty of those. Persecutions of all forms, from just simple name calling, not simple, but from just name calling to near murder. That's the extremities of persecution. difficulties, those moments where it's just downright hard to walk, to stand, to live even. Mental health is very serious. And people don't talk about it enough, like I mentioned earlier, so I will. I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about something that I think needs to be discussed, something I am passionate about. So here are 3 points about what mental health is not. There's plenty of people who want to think that mental health is certain things or immediately assume they know what mental health is about, but we need to know what mental health is not, or else we'll be denying ourselves, and that can be pretty unhealthy and even dangerous. First of all, mental health is not just a feeling. Depression and severe anxiety are real illnesses with real treatments and medications needed to treat them. The sad thing about mental health is that we and other people around us brush it off as, oh, she's just having a bad day. Or, oh, he'll get over it when he can go home from work and sit down and watch TV or something like that. Or how about this? Someone asks you how you're doing and you say, I'm good. That has become an automatic response planted in our brains to those kinds of questions and questions like them. We smile in people's faces and we say we're fine because God forbid they know how we're really doing. No one can know that I'm having the worst day of my life, that I'm feeling hopeless, that every day feels dark and gray and ugly, that in my heart I'm absolutely horrible. No, we have to say we're good, we're fine, nothing to see here. Because what will people think of me if they find out how I've really been doing? They'll judge me for sure. They'll think I'm weak. They'll think I'm a no-good sinner. If you have friends like that, I don't know why you call them friends, to be honest. They don't deserve to be called that word. True friends are people who care about you at your worst. That's the kind of people God sends into your life, because that's the kind of people who help you grow in your faith and help you become stronger as a person. Think about the people who truly care about you, like your pastor or your friend, the friend who always says she's praying for you. Trust that people like them don't want to kick you while you're down. Their arms are stretched out to help you up. They want to pick you up because that's what God has called them to do. That's why He placed them into your life. So it's not just a feeling, and it's also not just a quick resolve. It'll go away tomorrow. She'll be fine tomorrow. All she needs is a good night's sleep, and she'll be just fine after that. Just like certain sicknesses don't just go away in a day, neither do some emotions. Some stay there and cling to you, and they don't get better sometimes. They get worse. And you want out, but the devil is using that hurt to his advantage. He's going to kick you while you're down, so that you feel like no one's there. Some hard days turn into hard weeks, turn into hard months, and turn into hard years. And you pray. You do pray. You are praying, but it really feels like God doesn't hear you, or even that He isn't listening. And that's all the devil wants you to believe, that God isn't listening. Because if God isn't listening, then we're in trouble, and then nothing really matters anymore. All the devil has to do is make you think that you're so broken that even God doesn't want anything to do with you. And that is such a lie. God will not stand for those kinds of lies either. God is more protective than any parent or bodyguard in the entire world that you can think of, even my dad. God doesn't sit back and watch His child get taken away. God is a mama bear. He fights. And while He's fighting, you fight. You fight by reaching for your Bible instead of alcohol or that other addiction. By talking to God every morning, screaming if you need to. And you do that every day for as long as it takes. Wars never ended in one day. You fight until you've won, not just until you're out of bed. Every day, every step matters. Every step is closer and closer. And God is right there next to you, throwing the devil off of you and saying, you messed with the wrong kid. That one's mine. Every day. And good days are going to come. Be on the lookout. Don't close your eyes. You'll miss the sunlight. So mental health problems are not just a feeling, and they're not just a quick resolve, and they are not to be taken lightly. We should all know that by now. We've heard a lot of kids who have lost themselves to suicidal thoughts and have taken their own lives. Now, suicide may just sound like a word, but if you think about the word suicide, every time you hear the word suicide, I want you to think of that girl or boy who felt so alone, so abandoned by everyone they desperately needed love from, that they could not bear the pain they felt every day and decided to put a bullet through their heads or jump into a raging river. Think about the people who thought that the only way to stop feeling their emotional and mental pain was to cut themselves and hurt themselves physically, or to drink until they couldn't feel anything, or to run away, or to take someone else's life. And they feel like they're the only ones too. Honestly, we may have no idea how many people we know have secretly been feeling this way. Or we've been feeling this way ourselves and we haven't admitted it. Don't brush it off. Don't say it's no big deal, because the parents of the children who they lost to suicide will think something else. They think otherwise. It's a big deal to them because they don't have their child anymore. They're going to have to spend Christmases, birthdays, just thinking about their child instead of being there and hugging them. So the question becomes, what can we do? All you need to do is one little thing. Just one little thing this week. Just do one little thing for me. If and when that someone asks you how you're doing, say, be honest. Say, I'm really not doing all that great this week, or, it's kind of a tougher week. That's it. It may not be life-changing, but it's a step towards this. It's a step towards peace. There are also multiple resources for you too. Thankfully, we live in a place where we can get those resources pretty easily. The crisis text line and the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline are there for those who need to talk. There are also your pastors, your doctors, and you can even look into getting counseling if you think you need that. But you can also look right in your family, in your true friends, in your church congregation. If my dad were here, he'd say, we love you, because it's true. We love you guys. You matter to us. You matter to God. Every single one of you. And the devil will try to talk you out of that. He's trying to do it right now. But I wouldn't be here talking to you right now if I didn't hold on to the fact that God loves me and will always love me and will always want me. Thank you for listening. Don't just have a good day, but have a life-changing day. I'll read our verse again one more time. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient. If sufficient means enough. My grace is enough for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. God is strongest in the times when we are weakest. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest in me. We tell people, yeah, I went through this, but God brought me through it. You should see what God did in my life. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to tell you what God has done for me. I was in such a low place, but God did this. That inspires other people because they may be going through the same thing. So verse 10, that is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. When we're weakest, it's easy to think that we have nothing left, that we're done, that we're goners, basically. But you don't know the strength you have at your lowest point. It sounds crazy, but it's true. It's amazing what we truly have inside of us when we feel at our weakest. And I think part of that is when we are at our lowest point and we still cling to our faith in God, knowing that just maybe, we're going to get out of this and we're going to be okay and everything's going to work out in the end. That little mustard seed of faith in there is more powerful than anything you may have felt when you were okay, when you were doing all right. So for when I am weak, then I am strong. Thank you.